ahead.
I'm calling to order the budget and appropriation public hearing for Wednesday, September 19th, 2025 at 7:01 PM for the Warrenville Public Library District. So first, we're gonna do a roll call. So trustee Vika,
Present.
trustee Fishka,
Here.
trustee Warren,
Here.
trustee Schmidt,
Here.
and trustee Stoll is here as well. And so we do have a quorum, and then we do have various members of all the department heads, as well as executive director Jason Stillman. So then, do we have any public comments on the budget and appropriation ordinance? Okay, we don't have any public. So then, do we, were there any received via email or?
No.
Okay. Then do we have any trustee or staff comments on the budget and appropriation ordinance? No, ma'am. Okay, so then, bet we just want to give a minute or should I just,
Wait a minute or two.
yeah, maybe just another minute, just in case somebody thinks of something. Please don't hold your breath.
It's a brand new thing for you, Erica. Do you have any questions about the budget and appropriation?
I'm just here to observe, but still digest, to learn. And learning.
And so that's on page 14 and 15.
When I've been at Forest Preserve Commission meetings, Daniel calls it 3 times, you know, and then Lincoln's gonna call it 3 times. I don't know what, I'm curious about Robert's Rules of Order because I'm not even to.
Okay, so then, I need a motion to adjourn the budget and appropriation public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, that was moved by trustee Warren and then seconded by trustee Pika. And then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so motion passes and the budget and appropriation ordinance is adjourned at 7:04.
Point of order. Do we have to vote on by roll call on that?
No, not on an adjournment.
Okay.
Okay, so now, did you stop and say?
Wait, please wait. So, should I actually stop? Not
Right,
just pause?
stop. I'll pause and then,
Oh,
okay, so then, so I start again. So I'm calling to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Warrenville Public Library District for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025 at 7:04 PM. And now I'm doing a roll call, so, trustee Schmidt,
here?
trustee Warren,
Present.
trustee Fishka, trustee Pika,
Present.
and trustee Stoll is present as well. Let me just check everybody off here. Okay, and then, I take it there were no requests for remote attendance. And then, so now, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move.
Okay.
Schmidt.
Trustee Schmidt approved.
Second.
Motion to approve the agenda, so second. Trustee Pishka, second.
Good job.
Am I getting it right or am I still?
No, you're saying it.
Okay, yeah. It did take me a while to get Jerry's last name right too, just so you know, so it's, I don't know if it's the P's or something. And then, okay, so any discussion, is there anything that needs to be removed or added or switched around?
No.
Okay, so then, I will do a voice vote. All those in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, so the agenda is approved. Okay, so now, on to presentations, do we have any?
No, we cannot.
Okay, and, any public comments? I don't see any public, any correspondence?
No.
Then, on to the consent agenda, if the Madam Secretary will
Sure. Approve minutes of the August 20th, 2025 regular board meeting. Receive and file financial report for August 2025. Adopt ordinance 2025-04, budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2025 through 2026, and the certificate of authenticity. Adopt resolution number 231, resolution to determine estimate of funds needed for 2025 through 2026 fiscal year. Approve chief fiscal officer certificate of estimated revenue for 25 to 2026 fiscal year.
Okay, so this will be a roll call vote. So trustee Pika.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, any
Motion.
discussion?
You need a motion?
Oh, I need a motion.
So I will move that we accept the consent agenda as read by the secretary.
Okay. And trustee Pika, motion, and trustee Warren seconded. Now I will do a roll call. Or, I'm sorry, any discussion? I keep.
Yes, just one item. While what Jackie printed out for signing was correct, what I managed to grab off the network and include in the board packet was incorrect. For item for the minutes, that is.
Okay,
So what you saw in the board packet, those minutes technically were incorrect, all the ones printed out were correct, but for the consent agenda, item 7 on the minutes. I can't remember now who had said it seconded, but it was incorrect. I think it said Rick seconded, but it was Jerry. And then I believe Rick abstained from voting because you hadn't been at the previous meeting, so you didn't want to vote to approve the minutes.
That's true.
So, so the minutes that I included in your packet were incorrect. So those are the corrections, and the ones we printed out are correct. So just, so if you want to, I don't know, if you
Amend my,
amend with those corrections.
so I move that we adopt, I can't think of that word, but the consent
With the changes.
consent agenda as read by the secretary with the amendment.
Second.
so again, trustee Pika, motioned and trustee Warren seconded. So any other discussion? Okay, then I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Schmidt? Aye. Trustee Warren?
Aye.
Trustee Pishka? Aye. Trustee Pika?
Aye.
Trustee Stoll votes aye, so motion carries and the consent agenda is approved. Okay, so then we're moving on to the regular agenda. And I need a motion for item A.
I move that we pay invoices in the amount of $60,429.23 for the period of August 21st, 2025 through September 17, 2025, including electronic payments and checks number 10718 through 10765, checks 10751 and 10754 are voided.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. So trustee Pika motioned and trustee Warren had seconded. Any discussion or questions about the approving the payments? Okay, so then I'll do a roll call. Trustee Pika.
Aye.
Trustee Pishka. Aye. Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt. Aye. Okay, and trustee Stoll votes aye as well, so the motion, the payments are approved. So then I need a motion for item B, approve and transfer of funds.
I move that we transfer $175,000 from the commercial checking account to the operating checking account.
I'll second.
So trustee Pika motion and trustee Warren had seconded. Any discussion or questions? Okay, so then I will do a roll call vote. Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Pishka. Aye. Trustee Schmidt. Aye. Trustee Pika.
Aye.
And trustee Stoll votes aye, so motion carries and the funds are, approving transfer of funds is approved. So then, item C, which is page 26. So I need a motion.
I'll move to transfer, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, never mind, sorry.
500,000 from Fifth Third Commercial Checking Account to Illinois funds. A second.
Trustee Fitchka seconded, trustee Schmidt motion, trustee Fitchka seconded. Okay, so any discussion or questions? I guess we'll start with Jason.
Sure, so just to continue on trying to capitalize as much on Illinois funds. Good interest rates, I figured. And again, given that flexibility that we can, every month we can transfer back when we need to. I just figured we just got some of most of our fall tax money in, so it just seemed wise to transfer a bunch of it to Illinois funds, try and keep earning some high interest. We earned, it's in the treasurer's report, but we earned over $7,000 of interest for August, which was great. So being able to transfer some more in will help boost that interest a little. So we average about 200,000 a month that we spend, give or take. So I put on there, you know, the conservative, the middle, and the aggressive side. But I'd probably go for the middle of the road between the 500,000.
And there is no it's not too tedious or copious to do the transfer?
No, it's
And
really
there's
easy.
no delay, like if you do it today, the money is available, how quickly?
I think it's like 2 days or something.
I was just concerned about an emergency, so
Ah.
48 hours would be. Thank you.
So, and it's very easy. I just log into initiate the transfer through the Illinois funds account. But yeah, it's very easy and fairly quick. So,
Those were my questions.
I appreciated reading this prior to the meeting, you know, so you could think about it, so I totally agree with it. Because it leaves us with a little flush if the rooster cave in or something, you know, you've got a little bit of extra to take care of them, boiler breaking or something.
so, but then I just figured maybe moving forward, we could either do, you know, make the transfer every other month or make a transfer every month to try and keep as much as possible in. Either way, you know, every month, every other month, whatever, but then we just moving forward, keep transferring in to
Honestly-
keep filling out the checking account so that we can pay those.
Well, I like the idea of having at least 2 months, and only because I don't think we necessarily need 3, but just at least with 2, if there's any other emergency, and even though we can, you know, transfer and get it relatively quickly, it still just seems like if there's just that much that's available without having to wait. So, I mean, that's fine if we leave three now, but I would think that in the future, I kind of like the idea of at least having 2, so that way, if we need to, then the second month, then we can always go in and transfer if we need to. But if there's emergencies in the first month, then you're not kind of like, oh, you gotta wait. So, but again, depends how the rest of the board feels. I'm just one voice. Okay, so then,
It might be advantageous to see if there had been any need for excess funds, and if so, when. And then you could probably either, if there's a trend that maybe late winter you need something, then you could leave it out, but then you could otherwise just leave more in. I have no problem with 3.
like again, I know with the winter coming up, we don't know if we're gonna need extra snow plowing expenses, which could get you.
We might need lawn mowing.
Sure, but what was that?
We might need lawn mowing.
Yeah,
Really?
the way our winters keep going.
Do you have, you offered this 200,000 a month as an estimate. Do someone have a spreadsheet showing what we would spend every month if we got into that? To Rick's point, that we might know when there's peaks and valleys.
Yeah, I do, that's somewhere. I had a rough,
I think that might be interesting.
but this month we're transferring 175, so we're 25,000 short of 200. So, I think it's.
That's that was the key. That's the number you're using, the one I read. Okay.
Yeah.
So then.
I did that from when we were originally. I can't remember all the discussions we had about. Starting Illinois funds in the first place or the CDs, but when we were trying to figure out how much to put into the CDs. could be without that money for 3 months.
Now
I did
understand.
those calculations, and it's
Well-
average, sometimes it's like 175, sometimes it's 225.
But
the
now I
average
know where
is
you're
roughly
getting the
right.
number, so it's a good number.
Okay. So then, any other discussion, questions? Okay, then I will do a roll call vote, trustee Schmidt,
Aye.
trustee Pitchka. Aye. Sorry, and then trustee Pika. Okay.
Aye.
And then trustee Warren.
Aye.
Okay, so, all ayes, so motion carries. Oh, trustee Stoll, what's that too? I almost forgot.
You got that. You have to vote.
She's so flat.
No, did you? Okay.
And then, so motion carries and we will approve the transfer to Illinois funds. Based on Jason's recommendation. So now we're on to 9A. We're reviewing the updated personnel handbook part 3. So this is just discussion. Oh, I know I have some questions.
Jason had a couple too.
I did, yes.
Yes.
I do want to go first before you ask your questions.
Well, Nick, go ahead.
Okay. This is the last section. It's off. If we have any changes, I'll bring from say the section 4 last month. If we have any this time, I'll bring the changes. Next month, but hopefully we can approve the final handbook next month. See, again, HR source had several additions. So one of them was, so if for annual leave and sick leave, actually, in the copy of the handbook that I included, I forgot to take the lines out, but in my notes, Lori caught that I mentioned that, there's an Illinois law stating that everybody, no matter what, earns time off. So that we needed to remove the lines that said temporary employees are not eligible for annual leave. So I left that in, so I have it marked to take that out of the annual leave and sick time. Because I said we were taking it out in my notes for you, and I did not actually take it out of the copy, so.
What are we gonna do?
So, are we time for questions?
Sure, go ahead.
So the one question I had is during the family medical leave of absence policy, on the page where it talks about benefits during leave, and it talks about the employee must continue to pay the share of the premium. Then when you go over to the next section, the Victims Economic Security and Safety Act, I do see there's an extra C in economic. But the effect on benefits over there states that they need to pay their share of the premium within 30 days. So do they still need to pay it within 30 days on the other one? Or is that just kind of open?
Oh,
So I don't know how to, so it's page 48. Is the first one where I was talking about, it doesn't specify a time period. And then the other page. It's a little. Yeah, then on the other page is 53. So your group healthcare coverage may cease if your premium payment is more than 30 days late. And then on the other page, it just says if it's late, it doesn't specify. Failure of the employee to pay their share of the health insurance premium may result in loss of coverage. So I didn't know if there needed to be consistency with.
yeah, probably. I can take that, sentence about your group health coverage may cease if you're going to pay more than 30 days late, and I can add that to the FMLA.
I just thought if it's, like I said, the one seemed to be open-ended, that there wasn't a date that they needed to have it paid by, it just says late, and the other one says specifically 30 days. So I didn't know if it needed to.
Sure.
The other question I had, just, when you're looking on page 51, and it talks about, under item A, attending the funeral or alternative to funeral. Oh, okay, now I read it. Okay, forget that. I thought it was. Okay.
Well, while we're discussing FMLA, before we next question.
Yeah, okay.
One of our questions to you was, So on page 48, I highlighted it in red. I don't know if you printed out a copy that had the color, but on page 48, under benefits during leave, that second paragraph says, during the unpaid portions of FMLA leave that exceed 2 weeks, the employee will not accrue employee benefits such as annual leave with sick. We had originally just had during the unpaid portions of FMLA leave, the employee will not accrue employment benefits. And HR first recommended adding in a time frame. We weren't, I guess we can go either way on it, but we didn't, I was just curious how you all felt. Like, it's just weird because we do things based on pay periods. So, the timing of when does that fall within a pay period? I don't know. It was just weird. So I didn't know that it was necessary to add in that exceed 2 weeks. But
Well, how is it, I guess what seems to be gonna be complicated is bookkeeping for you, because when you're reading that, we have that first 2 weeks that's paid from the library that doesn't, and then they've got to use up their sick time and the steps that you were talking about, and then at that point, it falls into the 2 weeks unpaid leave, and I don't know, I mean, I agree, it seems like at what point do they stop accruing? Because if they have the first 2 weeks of paid leave that we give them. And
they're
then,
accruing benefits during that, and then
Yeah.
while they're using their vacation or their annual leave or sick time, they're accruing their benefits during that.
right,
So presumably, we would know at what point they're going to start being unpaid leave. So I don't know. I don't know if their idea was if it just runs over into a short bit of unpaid leave, it's not worth them all of a sudden, us trying to calculate for a week that they don't earn benefits, which I guess makes sense, but part of me is also just
So you
that
think
we
you should,
know at one point that should be and can tell the employee and know on our end, at this date, you will stop earning benefits. Accruing benefits. I don't know.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks makes sense, it's 2 weeks in the period, that can only have 1 week's worth of leave available, so I think 2 is relevant. Or go zero.
So should we just leave that in?
I understand both sides, but I also sometimes the more you never know when you're going to need something like that in the policy in case there is a situation where.
is there any way
That
to,
makes sense. So that gives it a little, just leaving that exceed 2 weeks statement kind of leaves a little bit of flexibility.
I don't know if there's any way though to word it a little bit differently though too, that says after all paid leave has been exhausted and then 2 weeks unpaid leave. I mean, because some of it feels like it's unclear in here and wait a minute, when does that start? I don't know whether to throw it. Does it make sense to throw in a sentence like after all paid leave has been exhausted and then after 2 weeks of unpaid FMLA leave? And benefits stop.
I think to me, that's more confusing, but that's just me.
I think it's good, because it says that what you have in the first document, it says during the unpaid portion, so it's clear, this is unpaid. This is not part of your paid leave, so during the unpaid portion, if it's more than 2 weeks, we're gonna stop. Accruing benefits. Towards more leave.
My other question will be, is this going to be a continuous 2 weeks, or is it gonna be like, they're gonna be missing 1 day or 3 days, or different hospital stays throughout the year, and they accumulate that time frame.
That's
a good point.
You could say 2 consecutive. Weeks,
Because that's a big difference, because I was in a similar situation. My daughter was very sick, and I accumulated throughout the year, including Thanksgiving. So her first Thanksgiving was not very fun.
I think Connie that's logical, to put in the word consecutive. Because we forgot about that very thing, as leave does not have to all be used in one block.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause that, I was, like I said, it was gonna be a bookkeeping problem if you had to keep track of paying and then when they hit unpaid and then when you had that 2 weeks hit that point, so. Cause I know that's the same situation I was in with all my different surgery and treatments and all that stuff.
And the thing is that you never know. That's why it's a LA.
Cause then for the employee to keep track of it, be like, oh no, now it's gonna be unpaid and I don't get it, or, you know, like, okay, if I wait 1 more week, then I've got, you know, another day to use that is paid, so.
Do the employees have like an online tool or something easy for them to access so that they can keep track of their?
I
Let's see it.
actually keep track of it very well.
She is the online tool.
Yeah, right, the spreadsheet,
Okay.
yeah, I've used it for a few people who know that for them.
Okay. Like, that was very useful.
I keep that one, of course, it's like unstaffed.
She is the keeper of the keys.
I had one question about the main body of this. Is this pretty much copied word by word from, the Library Association, or is this our own, in-house developed program?
Yes.
So
So I think a lot of the sections are boilerplate, not necessarily from ALA, but from ALA, from Rails, from the libraries. Like if you look at a lot of people's, and some of that applies to some of our public policies too, but you know, why reinvent the wheel if there's already good templates out there? So some of it, I believe, is boilerplate from that. Some of it comes from HR Source.
okay, yeah, that's
Like I
what
said, that whole section on VESA, that new section, they completely 100% wrote that for us. And so we didn't really, I don't think, change anything, maybe.
And they write that based on what the law is from wherever.
Right. So, but then there's some other things, you know, like our annual leave, sick leave, that's what we wrote. There's a couple other sections that are just things that we wrote. So when it's a little more, if it has more to do with law, then it becomes a little more boilerplate. But if it's more of our own policies and discussions and things, then it becomes more written. So,
okay. Maybe it was a typo, maybe it was home written, but it seems that on page 33, it says annual leave may be requested in increments of 15 minutes.
Right,
It'll take you that long to go out to car and back.
Well, I think that somebody wanting to leave early to, or be late to come in.
right,
15 minutes?
yeah,
That's
Yeah, if you're hourly, 15 minutes could mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
You're-
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that.
And I will say this came up at a board meeting several years ago when that 15-minute was added, and it was, like Jerry says, that could be very valuable for some people in the swing of schedules or something.
to try and get to a doctor's appointment. I mean, I use that where I just needed 15 minutes. You know, you could say to beat the traffic out of work. At the same time at the courthouse.
or picking up a kid, or,
Yeah.
I know it seems really small, but when you're hourly and especially if you're part-time, like
Yeah.
it becomes a chunk of time for you.
See, and I mean, it's their choice as to how much they're asking for. And I mean, if you feel like you only need 15 minutes, you know, versus, gee, I don't really need the whole half hour. You know,
I mean, that's there to allow them to do that if they need to.
Right.
Most people are taking either their whole day or a half day off, or at least a couple hours worth.
I would think, but I figured that, okay, I stay 15 minutes later than I should, so I can finish up a project that I wanted to get done. Does that get paid for?
It does.
It does, okay. Okay.
Are we going in order on this or can we?
You can jump around, that's fine.
I was like, I guess we need to talk about the bereavement leave, and you had a question there. Is that a hardship for the library if you would allow 10 additional? I mean, how does that work with your staff? Unless I understood this wrong. 50, it's the one where they have 50 or more people.
It's 40, it's 40.
So we're. I'm sorry. Page 40,
Yeah, it's the big thing in red. And your comment was that this applies to libraries of 50 or more people. But if we were to go ahead with this, how does that impact your staffing?
Hopefully not a lot, because I wouldn't want to. You know, I mean, I don't know.
And then that is in addition to the details under the heading family. So conceivably, it could be a 15, this is how I'm interpreting it, 15 days off. If it's in addition to that.
yes,
So then.
so the first 5 for our policy are paid for, and then this
Right.
would be.
Unpaid, but that's still 15 days, and how would your staffing be impacted by that?
Mhm. I'm sure we'd make do.
I was just curious, because 15 is a lot different than 5. So.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I just had that question.
I see the notes here. Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm sure any. But I mean, we have people taking. Vacation time and whatnot, usually not, 3 weeks at a time,
As
but
long as you're comfortable and the team is comfortable with being able to manage a possible situation like that. I just, the flag went up and I just had to bring that forward.
I mean. I can go either way on this one. I think Ian and I had initially taken it out. It was in the handbook previously, so you all had
Right.
previously approved this. But I think, I don't know if it was HR source that, took it out preemptively for us, and because it didn't apply to us, because we don't
Right.
have the same number, the required number of employees. But, we weren't sure, I figured it would, since you had previously approved it, I wanted to bring it to you all to decide whether you wanted to continue to approve it.
We can do for the employees,
Right.
that it's.
I mean, for the
I would
FMLA.
never call it perk, but it is something that is nice for them to know that it's there. So I would be more, as long as it can be managed from a staffing viewpoint, I would be more inclined to include it, even though we are not 50 or more. And some of you may be, never going to revise the handbook.
My goodness. You are thinking big.
I always think that you should do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep it in
I
there.
think it'd be good to include, because, and if we're specifying unpaid, so if a family member feels like, I gotta get back to work, I need to do this for my family income. They'll come back to work, and if they, if they can, and if they need to, then
Well, and that's my point. It's varies. If it's a cross-country situation, or even a global situation that they have to. 5 days takes a day to travel there,
yeah.
so. I don't know how the rest of the board goes, but I don't have a problem with it.
Sounds good to me.
And then.
I mean, I appreciate you wanting to make sure we can manage it.
Well, I would.
It all depends on the circumstances. You never know, like,
Yeah, I mean,
and the timing of it, but I
Right.
like that. I mean, for the FMLA leave, you had previously voted that we waive the requirement that you have to be employed for a year before you can take FMLA, because you wanted to be supportive of the
these kind of
employees.
things
And so
never.
this is a
can
similar
be
thing.
planned for. You never can plan for these things, so it's whatever's going on at the time, but you want to start out feeling confident that if this happens, we do have a plan B and we can. So, that was my only question. On that. And then I just wanted to know about the appendix with so you will change those yearly when you have the new insurance?
Yes.
And they will do they get a paper copy of this, or is this only online? How is this distributed to the employees for reference?
Right now, it's a paper copy, and we can still keep it at hand, but online.
So they will get, like with their insurance?
Yeah.
I
Or
just,
the emails or-
yeah, whatever it is. That was my one question, because I noticed travel reimbursement too, we have the 70 cents, we change that every year, so.
So I can certainly bring it every year if you'd like, but my
No.
idea was the items in the appendix have those sorts of yearly changes that we would just update. But
Correct.
meet in the main sections, if we had changes to that, then that we would bring to you for approval.
I
But
just
the
want to make sure there's a
appendices-
plan in place.
Yeah.
To make any additions or updates when it comes to the money, so it's most current for anybody reviewing. Thank you.
So I just had one question, when we were talking about the health, dental, vision, life insurance, so full-time employees are eligible for the insurance. With, at the next month after their hire date, right? But then the part-time employees have to complete 1 year, 1 full year of employment.
Yes.
Okay, I was just curious as to why the 1 full year, I mean. it's-
A step on the road,
What was that?
a step on the road, remember?
I don't,
And I know it's a bad thing at one, but,
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
you know, I think I can like check into it.
I would assume that it is, I mean, they have to pay for the insurance because the library's not providing.
Right.
insurance for
No, I understand that part.
It may have been since, I mean, I feel like we are addressing it and there has been less of it, but by nature, part-time positions tend to have the most turnover.
Okay.
So I think it is the going through the enrollment, setting up the insurance, and then 3 months later, they're leaving. So I think it was, I would assume, presumably in the past, the idea was, we want to make sure you've been here a year to warrant going through the rigmarole, setting up insurance. And that is my guess. I don't know that for certain.
Good hypothesis.
I just didn't know if whether or not, say, like 6 months instead of 1 year. That seems like, you know, I've got a long time to go without insurance if somebody needs it, but.
Well, it's only for vision and dental. It's not their health insurance,
Oh, okay.
right?
Well, it doesn't say, yeah, it doesn't say,
May enroll in dental, vision, and voluntary life insurance. That's for the part-time.
Okay, so
Unpaid, 50s.
but then it doesn't say health insurance for the. It's.
Right. Currently, our policy just says they can enroll for dental, vision, and life. And that's
Okay,
it.
but then like at the top, it says just for full-time employees, they're the ones eligible to enroll in health. It doesn't say anything about part-time employees being able to enroll in health insurance.
Maybe it would be a good idea to add in the part-time employees can enroll in health insurance, they're just not gonna get. the-
Right, I mean, whether it's that they have to work 1 full year for the health insurance as well, or that they're eligible to just at the time of hire. Because my point was just it's a year's long time to go without health insurance if you don't have any other option. I agree that dental and health, you can go with a year, but is it that they have to wait a full year for health insurance also?
I'll tell you this, can get health insurance for our current policy.
Now, is that a Limerick thing? Do you know?
It's actually, yeah, that's actually stated, so it's stated. I can reach out to, on Friday, I can reach out to them, check that, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's in that stage.
Oh, yeah, we can ask, and if they do allow it, then we can add that in. But if Limerick says we can't do that, then
Well,
we kind of
down
don't have
there,
that.
it should say also health insurance, then if they can't enroll until they've been here a year.
I'm sorry.
Well, if the part-time employees can't enroll in health insurance for a year, then it should say.
Can't right now. I don't think they can. Full say, they can only enroll. in
Oh,
dental,
okay, they
vision,
can't
and-
enroll in health
No,
insurance.
they can't even dental, vision, and they have to pay it themselves, the whole
I
thing.
see.
Like we just gonna come up.
Everything you're here.
Yeah, I can double check that, see if that's the
Yeah,
policy.
because like I said, it doesn't state it one way or the other. I just figured to be clear, if somebody knows that they're not gonna get health insurance, if they're part-time, I think it might make a difference.
So can I clarify, because I'm still, I wanted to be, make sure I understand. So a part-time employee can get health insurance?
No, they can
They
get
can-
dental, For some reason, free costs are separate, even though debt is public,
They can't get covered.
not for us. That's pretty low. That's the same thing.
Because I think you can get it when you're a jewel.
Yeah, I know. My wife used to work in the Navy, like she couldn't get health insurance for her, she was part-time.
Interesting. Okay, so that's,
But we can double check.
Yeah, I'll double
I
check.
mean, like I said, either, I just think there needs to be a sentence that not eligible for health insurance or whatever point they might be eligible, but anyway, because I get it that, again, going through it, and then they leave within 3 months, then what was the point?
We do have a goal to have primarily full-time employees though, right? Not like try to elevate people to full-time or do we?
I mean, you all and Sandy previously upped the minimum hour, like for the part-time position, so now every position is 20 hours or more. So that means every person here is earning IMRF benefits,
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
which is great, that helps for retention. I don't know if there was a goal to have primarily full-time
No,
or not,
I am, I'm saying.
but I think we're, about 50-50. We might be leaning a little more for full-time, I'm not sure, but
I think you need to have some part-time positions because people are not. In this atmosphere and environment like this, there are people who would want to work part-time position, not necessarily full-time.
Some of it though, too, I think it gives more flexibility to filling in some gaps rather than trying to, have full-time cover it, and then sometimes it just need the full adjustment and shifts, but, so onto the staff development and expense reimbursement, unless people have more discussion about it. Under where it says the library will pay membership dues for the American Library Association and one division for the executive director, what is division? I was curious.
on
On page 60?
so like the PLA, Public Library Association, is a division of PLA.
Okay. So we're paying for the ALA membership and one division of the ALA membership. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, when. Well, I've been, at least for me, operating for when it applies to signing up for conference.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what we've done with the trustees too. Paid a membership for them if they're not going to the convention.
And
For ILA, we have
Oh,
an institutional membership that applies for all conference registration. But ALA or PLA requires individual memberships to get the discounts for the conferences.
another question, I know that something changed in the law about writing off like meals or food. That doesn't apply to the reimbursement for when we're going to these conferences or whatever, we have to pay for a meal.
What was the question?
Okay, so I didn't know if anything changed regarding the reimbursement for meals.
Not that I'm aware.
Okay,
So you should be able to get reimbursed for.
okay, that's fine, I just,
And for ILA coming up, who, I don't know if you all are doing carpool or not. You're welcome to, but for whoever drives, let me know, because then we can reimburse you for the mileage. To get to Rosemont, and if you pay for parking, then reimburse you for the parking. So, but we do that for staff. Do that for you all as well, so. But I am not aware of. Any changes to the law for that, I can double check, I guess, but.
because for some reason I thought people weren't allowed to still write that off, or maybe it doesn't apply to reimbursements, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, writing off and reimbursements are two different things. Because if you're your own business and you're trying to get a tax deduction by writing off conference expenses or meals or something, that's a completely different issue than us as a business reimbursing you for spending your own money at a conference.
And then what about this driving safety training video? I don't know, watching on this either.
No,
Is it for staff?
it's for staff.
Okay, it says additionally, employees and trustees are required to watch a driving safety training video annually.
Well, you're not, what page is that?
Page 62. It said, any employee or trustee using a personal vehicle for transportation or on library business of any kind.
Well, I suppose generally, none of you are driving on library business. I suppose technically if you're going to ILA trustee day, I suppose they can send you all whoever's driving the video.
Yeah, that's an interesting,
Yeah, I guess that's-
distinguishment, or just whatever. Because as a trustee, we're not really conducting library business. We're volunteering for the service, the
Sure.
duty.
But the library is paying for your conference membership, I guess. so
Yeah,
I suppose in that
And
respect.
this, at the very start of it, says
Yeah.
whether to attend a library-related meeting or conference, visit, so.
Okay, Heather, are you driving? You'll have to watch the video before you get that.
That's fine.
No, that's a good point. But generally I hadn't thought of it because you all
Just organize.
I mean, I
Aren't
don't
driving
think
on
so
library
many
business,
problems,
so.
no DUIs in our backgrounds, but, again, when I noticed if we're to be compliant, if ever somebody asked, and, well, it's in your policy.
yeah, I guess you do have to be careful. My daughter-in-law was driving for Grubhub. And it null and voided their insurance when there was a fender bender because it wasn't covered. She hadn't told her insurance carrier that she was driving for Grubhub. So it could be a thing, possibly.
Well, several years ago, there was a big thing at the county where there'd been a attorney for the state's attorney that, was driving on county business. And she was in her county car. But then they alleged that she was going home when she was in the accident, so therefore the county wasn't liable for it, but then her insurance was saying, well, we're not liable for it because she was in a county car. And so it was a big.
Is that the one that was on Winfield?
Yeah,
There was another issue there too.
yeah, well, I know that, I wasn't at work that day, thank goodness, so I didn't have a problem. But, and then, on the tuition and textbook reimbursements, who is it that approves I mean, I didn't know if it. It said you needed to fill it out, but then I wasn't sure who was responsible for approving. Is that something that comes before the board, or is that something
And
that?
the bottom,
I would approve that. Yeah.
the supervisor and the director.
Okay.
And the same is true when they.
Yeah,
Yes,
whether
the
it's, I mean,
payment.
whether it's the tuition or the textbooks, it would be. The manager and myself. Within that, or not.
Are you going to leave the time limit out for jury duty service?
So that was one of the questions for you all.
I know.
I would rather leave the time limit out. I know HR source is recommending to put a time limit in, but in my mind, that's. Penalizing somebody for doing their civic duty.
That's how I feel about it. They can't help it if they get assigned to a trial that is extended for whatever reason.
Agreed.
And I think that's just giving them a negative attitude about having, most people have a negative attitude about serving jury duty anyway, and this kind of piles on.
Right.
I just got notice of federal, being on a federal jury.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised you get this.
Well, right now it's just a questionnaire stage, but I know my sister got one and she ended up going downtown, but she said it was a very interesting experience.
I bet.
But she had an employer that was pressuring her, like, when are you getting back to work, like every day?
That's what I don't want to put these guys in.
Yeah.
And because that will happen, I'm sure. If somebody does get.
So,
I've been for 2 weeks on a murder.
really,
It takes time.
Everything.
well, and even too, if you get called for a grand jury, then that's like a 3 month limit, so.
Never say that, because next day you can open your.
I mean,
If you'd like, I'll make sure they.
that's good right now.
You can throw your name in the ring.
I thought you were when you had a driver's.
What?
I thought you were when you had a driver's license.
Oh,
I was gonna ask about tuition and textbook reimbursement, I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Well, does that also includes, certifications? Because I know with the new equipment, you know, like the Cricut and the 3D printer, it is always recommended to do additional courses to be able to not just to be able to work the machines, but also to, you know, do maintenance on the machine itself. So, would that include those machineries or just something different?
Yes.
Because I didn't see anything mentioning, it only says Christina in school or the Golden Prairie classes. Would it be?
On page 63,
Yeah.
the opening paragraph,
Mhm.
it says the tuition and textbook reimbursement program encourages personal development, through formal education and certifications.
Actually, it's gonna be courses of the student eligible for reimbursement. And it says only as part of a degree or certification program from an accredited college, university, trade school, or distant learning school. So, taking into account that these machines have their own learning, they're not gonna be backed up by a college or university. It will be by amendment, manufacturer. Just a question.
Gotcha, okay,
Could you say trade school slash manufacturer?
sure. Is that the right term?
I don't know.
I'm just saying manufacturer, just to put them all together, even though they're completely different things. Well, but I think it would be a good idea to add in, if the employee decides to become an expert on the new tool. That their time will be reimbursed in the way.
Are you looking at courses of study eligible for reimbursement?
Yes.
Because it is pretty open-ended. Or applicable non-credit classes relating to position are eligible.
But it says classes,
We can add classes and certifications.
a certification will be something a little bit different.
I think there needs to be a C in there too, doesn't there?
Yeah, there's a couple mistakes there.
You want the word training? I mean, is it a certification and then a training? They're not necessarily, I don't know, the same.
Yeah, it depends. Add that.
Because I'm guessing that the library is gonna have more plans to have similar tools in the future, I'm assuming. You know, different, to offer a variety of tools to the public, so that. So the employees have to learn how to use it.
Sure. No, yeah, I will try and revise this so that it's a little more inclusive. Okay, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Other thoughts or questions? Pointed out section 5.13 is new. It was not in the handbook, but we've been doing it for a long time, so it seemed sensible to actually add it into the handbook this time. So, but it's a nice little perk.
Oh, yeah.
So. One of those, oh, we've been doing it for a while, but it's not in the handbook. I should add it to the handbook. I hope that you all approve of it.
Yes.
You're doing fine.
Not a hard one.
I mean, anything to appreciate an employee, definitely, it's gonna be a guess in my, but
That is what I think. I didn't think I really had anything to worry about with you all, but
You know, you get
never know.
excited. This quest is almost, it's in the last quarter of the race.
Oh, this one, yeah, I'm excited about this. Yeah.
Okay, so, any other questions or comments, or what else do we need to cover on this?
I think we hit all the questions and in fact, biggest things that were new.
So. Anybody else have any questions or comments on the thing, or are we ready to move on to the strategic plan year one projects?
Just one last question
Sure.
about the 5.12. I saw if this is for victims of, physical or psychological injury caused by domestic, sexual, or gender violence, or any other crime or violence. I take it, and just for clarification, I think that also includes racism, right? Discrimination of the type. That's going to be on 5.12, page
Yep.
51, section 8.
Yeah.
I would. Hope it would include that. HR Source wrote this, so. But we could. Try and squeeze that in and try and decide if these things include that or not.
What are we discussing?
Well, in 5.12A. It talks about recovering from physical, psychological injuries caused by domestic, sexual, gender violence, or any other crime of violence to the employee. So if you have to have medical attention, and that sounds good to me.
Racism or any other type of
I'm
discrimination.
glad to see gender violence in there.
Need to mention that I personally, when I have come to the library, I have been noticing some parents in the children's section, sometimes they feel a little bit embarrassed to speak in their native language, in native tone, even though they shouldn't. Because of that experience of being suffering from discrimination.
Because I didn't know how much of this is boilerplate then that was taken. You said, was this what was? You said,
This is 100% written by HR Source.
Yeah, we asked them to write it because we didn't want to tackle what was in there, because we're very legal, so that's what they wrote. And I imagine it's very based on what the actual physical law is.
Seems to add the one word racial,
We can do that, yeah.
especially in today's world. I mean, then you say cultural or racial and, you know,
yeah, I think cultural and racial is good to include in there, because that way it also covers, you could say religious, without making, so.
So I was thinking the word discrimination maybe covers everything. I think.
Is that way too, it covers if it's another country or.
yeah, discrimination. That's very broad.
Of course, correct me.
Cool.
Of course, you can correct me.
No, so. Are you? So this is about. Victims of violence?
Mhm.
So just, there's,
Well, it says physical or psychological, so I guess that it also includes some type of bullying. Or, being, not just, physical violence, but also being. Like I was mentioning before,
Intimidation.
intimidation, yes.
It says any other crime of violence. Words can be violent.
My question is just if it also includes, racism or.
I don't know, I mean, we could reach out to HR Source and ask.
We'll take that. That's-
No,
I mean-
that was just my question, just if that also includes that. Because unfortunately, it happens a lot. Still,
I mean, racism and discrimination and, yes. Yes, it does, unfortunately.
It's all of this is when you look at recently what's happening in the news that. Just political, somebody who decides they don't agree with what somebody said. I mean, that falls into the violence as well.
You ask HR Source for it. clarification on that.
Thank you for raising that question.
Sorry?
Thank you for raising that question.
Oh, no.
No, thanks. I think that's appropriate.
I guess because it happens to me every day. It's open for me. I work in technical support. I'm on the phone, so.
Anything else right now, or are we ready to move on?
I'm ready to move.
Okay, so then, again, so starting on page 77, we do 2025, 2030 strategic plan, year one projects.
Right,
So,
that is a change of gears. Yeah, so the committee met. It's now September, we met in July.
Seems like yesterday.
It does, I'm having a hard time believing that we're halfway through September, I keep saying that all the time. So the committee just went through the plan and each of the goals and came up with a list of ideas. So as I said in my intro there, I think we possibly came up with maybe a few too many ideas for the first year. It's like when you have one or two ideas per goal, when you're on that goal, it doesn't seem like much, and then when you add it up in total, you're like, oh, that's a lot of stuff. So
But I think it needs to be said, some of these things are excellent, and they're just broad and covers a wide scope. I was very heartened to read this.
Good.
Very good.
So yeah, so I wanted to make sure we went through all that work over the winter and spring to craft a plan. So wanted to make sure you knew that we were now working on the plan and these ideas. So again, my vision was once a year, the committee would meet, come up with these ideas. Next time it'll be review all of these from the previous year and then try to make a plan for the second. So, but like I said, I don't know if we're gonna get to all of these.
Yeah. Right.
So hopefully you all are understanding of that, because we have a
We
lot
have to
here.
work 24/7.
Yeah. There is a lot here, so, but I was heartened by the fact that staff were just really enthusiastic and excited
That's the important.
and full of ideas, so. And a lot of them, even for the third initiative, for the reimagining spaces, like a majority of all of those things are just kind of starting to explore and investigate some ideas, not necessarily getting things done, but
What
like, oh, like, okay, we can investigate solar panels. Like, how long of a process is that and when should we start? What will it take, rather than actually doing it right.
There's a bookmobile.
Love
We
that.
had a trustee at one point, so every time we got the things like this, and he always wanted, and don't forget my bookmobile.
Did you ever get it?
Bringing up the bookmobile. We must temper our expectations about it.
Well, it's like when I went to the one conference and they had the bicycle, but I mean, I know it may not necessarily be feasible in all areas of Warrenville. We're trying to get it from point A to point B. But I guess just looking at the cookies and cream cruiser later and how she works it out from Maple Hill to get to the places she gets to.
So yeah, whether it's a bookmobile or a bike, or we get something to better transport books and things so that somebody can put that in their car, or whether it's, you know, these 24/7 lockers, either here or elsewhere in the community, like, or whether it is expanding the homebound delivery to more of a home delivery. There's a lot of potential different options for exploring and trying to figure out which one is most effective and is most attainable for both for us to do both staffing and workflows wise and budget wise. So
I'll just be happy with the little libraries.
Can I just say the ice cream lady, I hope I'm not giving away a trade secret. She has a large vehicle that she moves that.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
she
yeah.
does.
So she's not driving all
Oh,
over.
yeah, no, I know, but like I said,
Yeah.
yeah, she puts it on a trailer, no,
Well, cause, no, I didn't know that. Well, cause she like rode her bike off down Hill Street and off on Manning, so I thought she just rode her bike here.
I'll tell Lauren you said that.
So clearly she's parked her other vehicle.
So, right, so that you need a bigger vehicle to load up a smaller.
no, and I know, like I said, some of it just amazed me though, that she's willing to do all that to, you know, again, you wouldn't think she would want to go all that effort to having to load it onto a trailer to get it to point A, and then, you know, it looks easy, like she's just biking it somewhere and, you know, but it's a lot of work. So, I mean, I know it's not simple, you know, whether it's a bookmobile or a book bike or whatever we decide to do, so.
Doesn't
It
the,
doesn't have to be torn apart all the time. It's consolidated. You move it once and you bike to radials. Right. You can get a book bus.
Just need a bookmobile that is a transformer and step across Butterfield Road.
You could just put that in the parade, you don't need anything.
There you go.
yeah,
So I don't know if you had any questions or thoughts. I don't know if you want me to go through every item bit by bit, but like I said, we had a lot of ideas, even for the collections one, some of it is still, we are in the exploratory stages for even, you know, you think, oh, adding video games is a simple thing. It's not that simple because A, we have to find the space for it. Where is it gonna go on the shelves? How are we gonna do it? Because most libraries have just the cases out and keep the games behind the desk. Which was a hard lesson we learned at my last library, after some theft. So, but then you need to figure out, you know, just right, how they're processing that, how is member services storing those things, where are they storing them? So it's not as simple as, oh, we're gonna start buying video games.
Well, even
To have for
there's so
people,
many
like,
different
there's-
gaming
there's all
systems.
Yeah,
And as well as games, I mean, you know, how many do you have, what ones are gonna be the most popular?
right, yeah, right as we were, you know, adding this to the budget, all of a sudden Switch was coming out with the Switch 2, and it's like, ah. So, you know,
it's still compatible with the, like, the video is still compatible, so.
so right, making those decisions and then, at least we're coming in fairly late, so we don't have to go back, you know, dating a bunch of different platforms. At my last library, like we've been collecting video games for a very long
Just there you
time.
go.
So we had like the PlayStation 2 games and PlayStation 3 games and the PlayStation 4 games, and then the new PlayStation 5 came out. So like literally just for PlayStation, we had like 4 different collections, and then for Xbox, it was, I can't remember what came before Xbox 360, but like it had 2 or 3 collections, and it was just like our shelves were getting ridiculous. So the plus side of coming in a little late to the game is that hopefully we don't just have that, at least not for stuff like here. It's,
Do you have any for Dreamcast?
you know, I bet we did at one, but
We will have a Dreamcast that we don't lock in this month, by the way.
Well, my memory is not as good as it used to be, but I don't recall ever having staff come up with this many options of things to do to support the plan. And I think that's what the important thing is that there's collaboration to come up with some ways that we can change up things and offer more. And I think that's what we need to keep in mind. Maybe it can't all be done before 2030, but it can be carried over as long as there's progress toward the goals.
So I didn't know if, like, I know the one meeting, you know, suggested even like having a meeting at 6 months just to see what the progress was, because sometimes, you know, sometimes you might have to switch gears and say, okay, this goal isn't working out right now, but how about this one over here, just so that way people kind of keep enthused, you know, with, and not let something fall by the wayside, like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that and lost track, but at 6 months, then you can say, okay, where are we on this goal, and, you know, or what do we need to do different? Or what can we do to change to keep moving forward on it? I mean, I don't know if 6 months. So that way you have the halfway point of progress to,
No, that's not a bad idea.
rather than just wait for a whole year and then you're like, oh, we didn't get all this done and now, and then. You're trying to catch up and then still, okay, how can we keep, now we've got stuff from year one and now we're working on the year two and then, all of a sudden everything just like, okay, we can't do any of it or just.
Yeah.
Well, maybe at the end of a goal. Then you could yeah, thank you. Can't speak the language, so anyway, then that would be able to redirect some. Effort, but still the scope and enthusiasm, encouraging, applaud.
And maybe you just need to take the projects and prioritize this in each segment, like what is the most significant one, or which is the one we want to concentrate on. I don't know, but I'm just pleased to see this stuff, so keep it up.
Okay, great.
Right, I'm gonna get
3 attaboys.
my little tom-toms.
Okay, so, any further discussion on the strategic plan or any other comments? Okay, so then we'll move on to new business. So item A is page 79, reviewing first draft of levy ordinance and truth and taxation notice. So, discussion.
So yeah, especially for our new member. So every year, our main source of income for the library is taxes. And so the levy is what we use to levy those taxes every year. So, historically, seems as though the Warrenville board has always been supportive of maximizing the increase on those taxes that are allowed by the library, just to keep our budget healthy. There's always increasing costs. The insurance costs keep going up quite a bit,
Oh my God.
which is ridiculous. Trying to make sure we can stay, moderately competitive on salaries, pay, and all those sorts of things. So as a general, I remember when I first started, I went to like a library district like budgeting and financial workshop that another director put on, and he showed like the two timeline graphs of here's if you maximize your increase every single year, and then like 20 years later, here's what you're at. And then it was a library that didn't do that. And 20 years later, they were significantly short of the same amount of budget than the library that was maximizing their increase every year. So there's, of course, the idea of, wanting to be responsible for the taxpayers, but also I think we provide good service here and a lot of good resources and a lot of great programs and whatnot. So I think, and part of that is having good staff, and you all have made great efforts in the last couple of years of improving those benefits for staff as well. So, and then I think that shows, because then you have motivated, happy staff and less turnover. And I think that pay is like my previous library, we didn't necessarily pay super well. And I remember there was multiple people over the years who would say, it breaks my heart to leave. I love it here, but I have to go somewhere else to get paid. And so you all wanting to help support the benefits, the pay by doing this is really good, because then it ensures that we continue to have a great library. So that's the philosophical part of it. Legal wise, every year there's what's called the PTEL, remember what that is, property tax extension limitation law. So we can raise our levy either by whatever the consumer price index is, or 5%, whichever is lower.
Well, it'll be 5%.
So this year it was 3.4%. Or last year, that is 2024. For 2025, it's going to be 2.9, so it has actually gone down. But in 2023 and 2022, the CPI was over 5%. It was like 6.8 or some ridiculous price. So our cap was 5%. So they have that in place so that we're not just like CPI was 10%, like all of a sudden we're raising your taxes. So the idea is, so we can't raise it too much. So, and then I'm sure they've all heard this spiel for years and years. But we always, so a lot of libraries might increase their levy by 2.8%. Be on the safe side. And then there's other thing that we are reviewing in here, that legal notice for the truth in taxation, they don't have to do that. So that was one thing I found out at that workshop I went to, and I was like, oh, well, we apparently do a truth in taxation period every year. But part of the reason, and I don't 100% understand the mechanics of how this works, I've just had multiple, Sandy told me this at the workshop, I think they mentioned it. One or two other people have mentioned it to me. But we have to do that truth in taxation hearing and notice, because we always levy. Our proposed levy is more than the PTEL cap. And we do that in order to capture new growth and new value. If
Yes.
you remodel your home and your home is worth more, then we're capturing that. If you there's empty lots and they built new properties, we are capturing that. I don't 100% understand why just our regular levy amount doesn't include that. Somehow this over to levying somehow captures that, but the gist of it is that then residents ask you, oh, the library is raising my taxes 8%. No, we're raising your taxes 2.9% because that's the PTEL cap. The extra bit is just to capture that extra growth in value. Like I said, I don't 100% understand the mechanics of
But I've heard
what
this
that does.
speech before.
But the county rolls us back because legally we can only raise it by the PTEL cap. So they raise it back, but every single year, the guy put on here, here's with the 2.9%, what our expected tax exemption is going to be. That's how much we'll get. So that's $71,000 and change. And then again, it's just estimate. I think last year I estimated 30,000. But in looking, I've started a spreadsheet for kind of keep tracking that as well, and it's gone up each year. So this year I'm estimating an additional 40,000 from growth, and that's what we'll capture from over levy. So that's our estimated, but every year I've noticed, like since I've been here, and then I think from the 1 or 2 years previously with Sandy, the estimated amount, what we actually get in the end, come springtime and the county sends us our final tax exemption letter, it's always higher than this. So we seem to be usually underestimating the extra growth and value there. So, but yeah, so just as a trustee, if some resident asks you, oh, the library is raising my taxes 8%.
I think so.
No. We're raising it by that PTEL cap. So it's this year, it's gonna be for 2025, it's gonna be the 2.9%. So
That's the same sort of thing as the census update, right?
what do you mean?
There was a census that was done,
A special census.
a special census,
Mhm.
so that we could capture more of what has been done than would be otherwise.
Oh, so that doesn't affect our tax money at all, because we were already getting, like, if you lived here, you have a tax bill, and so you're paying the taxes to us anyway. So having the census doesn't affect that. What this, for the library, what the census, the new population from the special census will do is our per capita grant that we get every year is gonna be slightly increased. So, because we have officially more people on paper. But the taxes, like, if you physically are here, you get a bill and you pay the taxes, so whatever the special census says doesn't affect that. But, so anyway, so that's what I proposed, for the levy ordinance, if you all are still supportive of that. So,
You don't get something.
so then the. Right in there, I wrote in there somewhere, oh, the TITA hearing, the notice, or the hearing will be November 20th. And the notice will be published in the paper on November 6th, so I think.
Your legal notice says the 19th of November. Is that the 19th or the 20th? Just as a point of fact.
Clearly, this last month, I haven't had an
No,
issue.
because I'm
Dates.
calendar challenged, so.
It is the 19th,
Well, the notices.
so the notice is right, that's the important part, so yes.
Is
my
that,
Narrative was wrong, I apologize for that, just like all the emails I sent you last week, I apologize about all that, yeah.
I thought I was
my
right.
question was going to be, is that going to be an additional meeting or?
It'll be kind of like tonight was, so we,
No, no.
it would be like tonight. So officially, at 7 o'clock, we had our budget and appropriation hearing, where members from the public could come and make comments. You notice that nobody was here, so we had that 3-minute meeting where we called the meeting to order. Anybody have any comments? Make sure nobody has any comments, adjourned, and then we started our next meeting. So that'll be exactly what we do. We'll have our truth and taxation hearing. Call order at 7 o'clock. Most likely, no one will be here to comment. We'll adjourn it, 3 to 5 minutes later, and then we'll start the regular.
Actually, the only reason why I was asking is because it's actually my birthday. So
As long as we have a quorum, absolutely, celebrate your birthday, take it off.
Do we still put that notice in the newspaper?
Yeah.
Is there a news, what, do I put?
Daily
Daily
Herald.
Herald?
Yeah.
And there's no.
I would love it if Illinois would update those requirements
requirement
because.
To put it online, it has to be in the newspaper.
Correct. I mean, I put it on our website. too,
I know, but I just.
But we are legally required to still
Seems
publish it in the newspaper, which,
Antiquated to be
Right.
putting it in the newspaper.
and it's a cost too, right?
Maybe
Like,
that's why no one's here.
if you remember from the budget, like we've got like, I can't remember what the exact number is, but like $1,200 that we put just for publishing these sorts of notices
Well, and the
throughout the
thing
year.
is that if we don't, because I remember the 1 year Daily Herald screwed up and didn't publish it. And then we had to go back and do something with the county because without that
Yeah.
publication. We can't levy. We could have lost all that money.
It's a big deal, but I just can't believe that's what they consider a reliable publication of something so important.
At this stage,
I
yeah,
think Instagram has beat the newspaper.
they're getting guaranteed business.
It's archived, so it's kept indefinite.
I know, but when was the last time you read a newspaper?
Every morning,
Every morning.
I get a paper in the driveway and my dog carries it in.
I'm not lying, but it is a newspaper and it's online. So.
I get it both online and.
okay. So any other comments on the levy ordinance and truth and taxation or questions? Okay, then we're ready to move.
Proceed.
Better taxes.
Item B, which is on page 84, review the updated policy number 210, library cards. So basically,
Yeah. Yeah, lots of.
yeah,
So this is our updated library card policy with a lot of changes to it.
That's, yeah.
So as part of that review, for this year's strategic goals, just one of the in progress items was library card accessibility / expansion. Here we are in progress. So one of the first changes was adding additional authorized users to a library card. Paul commented that their staff, they either have grandparents come or nannies come with the kids, but they didn't have the kids' library cards. Kids want to check something out and it could. So that seemed to be a barrier. So we wanted to be able to allow the parent getting the kids cards, or maybe it's for themselves and they want to add their partner or somebody. It doesn't have to be family. But just being able to add officially when they sign up for their card that, hey, this other person is allowed to use my card. That's what library, we're big about, privacy and whatnot. So this, up front, hey, yes, I can add this additional person. This will help for childcare, or partner can come pick up my books or my holds for me. Then there's less fuss about it. So we would just make sure we identify you can prove who you are. Like, oh, yes, you're born and you're here to pick up your grandkids' stuff. Oh, yep, Rick Warren is listed in the account as being an authorized user. Great, go right ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pick up my books.
So that's that addition. Digital library cards, I just completely revised that because Swan just recently, so previously what we had was these temporary 3-month digital only library cards. That had very little, information gathering behind it. So now, Swan is using a company called Patron Point to do official verifications. So now you can get a full access library card by signing up online. You won't get a physical card, you'll get a digital, it's still a digital account. But you will, there's no time restriction. It is like a regular library card in all respects, other than you don't have an actual card. But you get your number. So once you finish signing up, you'll get your number, your email. And then you can, if you trying to figure out if we can get a printer that will print and generate barcodes and print on blank cards, so that if you really wanted to convert that digital card to a physical card, or even in, you know, oh, we've had your card for 20 years and it's now cracked and broken and you'd like to replace it, but you've had that same number for 20 years and you don't want to get rid of that number. Hopefully this system would also then allow us to replace those cards. For some people, that's not a big deal. For other people, like, I have had the same card memorized for years. I don't want to change, but anyway, that's besides the point. But the point being, Swan has now added this new system to verify your identity and your address. And so it is a much more thorough process so that we can allow that digital library card to be full access card.
So like so then like if they have the app on their phone, now that digital card will be on there, like then
They've got to add it, yes,
Right.
but
Wow.
so yeah, since if you've got the app, like you get that digital card, you add the number to the app. And then that's all you need. You can still come and check out physical books if you've got that.
Now, it says here that it uses geolocation and identity verification tools, but this is just for registration, right?
Correct.
Yeah, when you already are approved, then you can use the card to get anything digital media, right?
Right, yeah, it's just like, once you get approved and we verify that you are who you are and you live in the address in Warrenville that you said you did, then you'll get in your email, you'll get your library card number. And then, yeah, you can use that for Libby, for Hoopla. You can add it to the Swan Libraries app, then you can come in and check out stuff here. You can use it for the databases. So yeah, you can use it for everything that you would be able to use your library card. It just happens to not come with a physical card.
Is there a digital card you can put in your wallet if you have an iPhone?
I don't think so. I think from what I've heard at a session I went to at the Swan Expo is that involves a lot of work on Swan's end to make that a possibility. I don't remember the exact details, but
Just was curious, thank you.
so I don't think it is. Let's see, the non-resident taxpayer section. We were trying to just add in a little bit more flexibility. I think we had someone who clearly owned a property, home in Warrenville, but seemed very evident that they lived in a different state and they wanted to renew. So we were trying to, I think for the first time, we want to see you in person, but after that, like I said, at staff's discretion, try and allow for maybe a little bit of flexibility to be able to renew that card. And then the non-resident tenant. Lori and I were talking it back and forth and I couldn't figure out what that would be and why it was in there. So because if you are a tenant of a home or an apartment building, like, then you live here and you have a Warrenville address and you just get a regular library card. If you're a business and you're a tenant because you're leasing or something, like, you still have that address and you can come in and get the business card. So I didn't quite understand what the non-resident taxpayer tenant like would be.
It was supposed to apply, I think there was a while that, I don't know if people in what they call the island somehow they weren't part of the city of Warrenville. I don't know if they were part of the library district or not. I don't know if that was the issue. So I think there was.
Oh, off of 59.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they don't pay taxes to the library, so they're not part of. I know people over there and they can use, it's like COD library. But, they would have to pay, but thankfully, there's the thing about if if a student in school, if the student can, get a library.
Right,
Right.
the cards for kids, the non-resident, which
Yeah, it
I
helps.
think I've got on there that we were just changing the name from student non-resident cards to juvenile non-resident cards, because we had approved, the law had changed and you all approved allowing any minor to be able to get a library card who wasn't a resident, but was within the district. So I was just trying to update the language to better match that, rather than saying student everywhere. The Warrenville business card, I added nonprofit to try and make it clear that nonprofits could use this, take advantage of this as well. We were adding teacher cards, still working on getting some IGAs and reaching out to the principals and get that ball rolling, but I wanted to add it to the policy so that it was there, but the idea being, so we legally in Illinois, you can't just, without I believe in intergovernmental agreement, you can't just give teachers library cards.
I wonder what the law behind that, what the thinking was behind that. That
Don't
seems
know.
strange.
So in this respect, it would be, we could give teachers cards based on the list that the principal would give us, that who is authorized to have these cards, because then the school is going to be on the hook for any loss or damage actions. So, and that is one reason we want to make that available, because oftentimes the reason why a teacher, they might have a library card from their home library, but they don't want to use that because they're worried about their students losing things, and they don't want to be on the hook for their students losing material and having to pay us. So this way, it becomes the school's responsibility if
Yeah.
that happens, which then encourages the teachers hopefully to make more use of the library.
Well, and there's
For the
really
classrooms.
fun content reasons, like if you were doing, I think fourth grade, if fourth grade does local history. And you could say, you know, in the Warrenville Public Library, we have these books by Leon Schmidt. Well, you're not gonna be able to share those with your class or talk about them if you live in Arlington Heights. You know, you can check them out. And so there, I mean, it's just kind of, I think it's a real nice connection.
And then they can also, if they need to in their classroom, if they want to access our databases, then they'll have a card, one card number that they can access it.
Well, this is the other thing too, that I find that, okay, if the teacher or whoever says, you know, is recommending a book or saying what's available, if then they can show it to their class, but if they try to check it out on their own card in their home library that some other teacher, you know, has it checked out, then yeah, it's available here, but they, you know, this way they can, you know, we've got it available for them, for their school, and not, they don't have to try and go to another library to be able to check it out to say here, but go to the Warrenville library to get it.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry to remember this, but I think it's really important because the teacher has the opportunity to open kids' eyes and families' eyes to the resources of the library. And you know, to say, you know, you guys can get puzzles at the library, you guys can get this, or this at the library. And I developed a class for teachers at District 200 during the first 5 years I was there, that new teachers to Warrenville had to go around and they had to see our history museum, they had to walk through our library and see what we offered, they had to see, you know, walk on the prairie path and see so you know the community where you're teaching. And so if the teacher can bring more enthusiasm and like, there's this, you don't have a computer and all this other thing, you go to the library has them, you know, and just helps make the teacher real familiar. It invites the teacher in. I like it. Thanks, teacher.
So
Sorry.
hopefully it'll get used.
So excellent.
So then, item C, page 95, about approving library closing.
Wait, didn't you finish?
I mean, there's several more items, but I
Oh,
mean,
sorry.
I had the description there. There was a recent bill that said, if you are a non-resident, not in district, and you want to purchase the library card, the bill says per your all approval, now they can make quarterly or biannual payments for it rather than paying it all at once. So I presume nobody has any objections to that. The juvenile non-resident card, like I said, that was just tweaking the language to be more consistent. So the two biggest additions, although a lot of this is big changes, but we were adding courtesy cards and limited use cards. So the courtesy cards, I think last year we had one or two people who were staying at Warrenville hotels on business for 3 months. And they were wondering if they could get a library card. It's the library. So we thought, we went through a couple different names, but courtesy card seemed like a good name for it. So we would ask them for their proof of ID, proof of permanent address, or at least what their permanent address is, and then some sort of proof that they are staying at the hotel for the next 3 months. Just so that we have reason to, in fact, give them this card. So
So if there's lost materials with that, we'd still be able to bill them back.
correct.
Does or will Diana communicate that with the hotels so that these people know that this is a service that's available?
Once we approve this, yes, we will
Yes,
make an effort to,
well,
somebody, whether Diana or myself, somebody will reach out and let them know. And then the limited use cards was sparked by having one or two unhoused folks who were wanting to be able to check out a couple items in these libraries. So Swan has a limited use card. There are some libraries out there that in their policy, they have some restrictions, but that seemed contradictory to what Swan told us. The card apparently allows you to go to another Swan library and check something out to be able to place a hold. Which we're maybe hoping not to do, just to limit the potential incursions of lost items of other library stuff. But in the end, the card limits it to 5 checkouts and 5 holds. So, I mean, if you put 5 holds and you already have 5 things checked out and your holds come in, you can't check them out yet. You only have a total of 5 things checked out. So whether it's our stuff or whether it's another library stuff, that limit of 5 should one way or another protect us against having to cover too many costs. So the idea though with this card is that we expect, if we unfortunately were to have people needing to use it, is that we would just expect that there might be some lost items, and that's just the cost of business, because we're not gonna be able to send a bill to anybody. So, but we are okay with that because it's adding that it's gonna be a very rare thing, and it's hopefully gonna be able to provide a little bit of service to somebody who needs it. So, but like I said, that's highlighted in yellow because we're still waiting to hear from one and a couple libraries about each minor details of it. So. So if you're okay with both of those things,
Yes, definitely. I can think of already of a lot of immigrants or people who are in shelters that have children that will definitely be able to take advantage of those.
that would be,
So my only other question is on the limited use versus available proof of identity, if they don't have a way to prove their, what would be accepted as proof of identity if they don't?
I think we said, if possible. To provide if possible. So, I mean, I'm hoping, in the case that kind of spurred this, they should have a driver's license because they've been living out of their car. I know that wouldn't necessarily be the case for everybody. I would at least hope that there is some sort of ID out there that has your photo of your face and your name on it. But I think for an unhoused individual, we're gonna be fairly forgiving because it's the limited use.
I know that there's the 18 for immigrants, which is gonna be like the tax card that they will use, even though they are not 100%. They don't have their green card status, so they can use that as an official document. On the 18, and also there's just instead of a driver's license, there's also, as far as I know, that there's just an identifier.
There is an ID card.
ID card.
Yeah, my mom couldn't drive, but she had an identification card.
Yes, I know that homeless use that.
Well, great, thank you for being supportive of that. Cards from non-Swan libraries, I think we had a case where we had in the suburbs, but it was not a Swan library, somebody came in with their grandkids and they wanted to add their grandkids card to our system. And we're like, oh, well, normally it should be parents, but we didn't specifically have that written up in the policy, so I wanted it to just kind of be consistent with your usual, if you're getting a regular library card, the parents would need to sign off on it, so making, just added that language in to make it consistent.
Now, are these cards identified in any way, like, or are they? I would say somebody know that, say they do go to a Swan library and. Is that gonna, would they be stopped from being able to check something out because of, or, I mean.
No, so in Illinois, you can take a library card to any library and ask them to add you to their system. So if somebody from Champaign brought up their Champaign library card and wanted to check something out here, we could add them, have them fill out application, add them to our system. But the one step that we would do as part of that is we would call the Champaign Library and say, hi, we have a patron here who's interested in doing some reciprocal borrowing. Can we give you their name and library card number, and can you verify that they are in good standing? Their card is valid and not expired. And they would look them up and say, yes. And then we would say, great, thanks. And then we add it in the system, and then they can check out something here and use their card here. If they said no, then we would have to tell the person, we're sorry, you need to talk to the Champaign Library because they say that your card is not valid. You owe too much money for something to that effect.
And where is the return made? If they check out something,
They can return it. Technically, you could just return something at any library anywhere.
that's.
We have the ILDS, the Illinois Library Delivery System, I think is what that stands for. So we can, there's a slip for that, we throw it in our bins. And then it gets delivered appropriately. So it's a nice system. So when we do, I mean, we have a lovely delivery system for all the Swan Library holds. But we do the out of Swan Library holds. And as long as it's within Illinois, then we just use the ILDS delivery system, and it's 3 minutes.
They still with the same bins as
Go
the
the same
interest one. You know, you just put it in there with that, a different slip on it, and then they know, okay, this has to go
Well,
here, and then it goes on.
So it's great. If it's out of state, then we gotta mail it.
But I didn't want to hear that they had to come back up next weekend.
The only problem would be if they did drop it off at their home library in Champaign. It would still count as being checked out to them until it reached.
Oh,
us.
yeah.
So there could be a case where maybe they're actually charged for the item because we haven't gotten it back yet. Then once we get it back,
You just take it off.
but that's the only issue with that is, because we have people sometimes say, Naperville say, can I drop off my Naperville books here? And I'm saying, well, technically, yes, but we don't know how long it'll take to get back to Naperville. So, and Naperville may or may not accept that as an on-time return, because when I do them, I put on our labels, return to Warrenville on, September 17th. And however long it takes to get to Naperville, they're free to say, oh, well, came in on 17th, I'll check it in as of the 17th.
Oh, yeah.
Or they might say, not too bad, it's now the 27th, so it's going to be, I don't, every library does their.
Has their own
little way. So that's the only thing we have to make sure that people understand that is, yeah, we'll take the Naperville stuff, or you can drop our stuff at Naperville. But they have no way to actually check them in, nor do we have a way to check them in, so.
I was extrapolating this, something to do with universities and professors and all that being here, visiting family, getting book, and then.
I mean, I used the extreme case of Champaign, I'm not quite sure I went that far south, but it proves the point that anywhere in Illinois, but literally, as Lori pointed out, we have two neighbors, Naperville and Wheaton, that are not in Swan and Aurora. Okay. So 3 of our immediate neighbors are not Swan libraries, so we can certainly get. Winfield's.
Winfield's not part of Swan Island.
Really?
Interesting.
There's 100 of Swan libraries, it's hard to keep track. but
Well, someday they'll step up to these.
Is Elbert?
Yes. Albert.
and then the last item was the souvenir cards, which is completely weird. But it came up in just discussion on the director's listserv, email listserv, and I asked Lori about it, and she said she'd given one or two away before, so I just thought, well, okay, maybe we should just add it, so it's part of the policy.
People make it
Please
like
also-
collectibles, took a barcode, mark sharp and walked off the barcode just in case, and they were happy with that.
But at least we added in the cards will not be mailed. Then I don't want collectors from all around the country being like, mail me a little library card, like, no. If you're here, fine, but we're not gonna give the business of mailing blank library cards all around the country, like, no thank you.
That just, you can only get that in the car, so.
You're a true collector, show up.
Exactly, that's how it has to be.
So it's a weird, I know, it's a
It's
weird
important, she'll be
addition.
Exactly.
So there you have it. It is a lot of changes to the library card policy, but I'm hoping that they're all positive changes.
I agree with that. So any other questions or comments about the library card policy? Okay, then we are ready to move on to item C, which is approve library closing on Friday, March 6th for the staff day.
I move to approve the closing of the library on Friday, March 6th, 2026 for the annual in-service staff day.
I'll second.
Okay, motion was made by trustee Pico and seconded by trustee Warren. So any discussion or questions or Jason?
We've done it in March the last 2 years. Seems like it's working well. So a chance to have everybody together on the same day without having to worry about being open and get some training done or meetings or whatever. So most libraries do this. So in the past, you all supported it. So I appreciate being able to have that staff day. So
Okay, so I'll do a roll call vote and so trustee Fitchko.
Yeah.
Trustee Pico,
Yes.
trustee Warren,
Aye.
trustee Schmidt, and trustee Stoll votes aye. So motion carries and the approve the library closing on Friday, March 6th, 2026 for staff day. So now on to the director's report.
oh my goodness, we'll keep it short because we're getting late. So the note before, I think I brought it up before, I don't know if everybody remembers. I don't think I've mentioned it to you, Erica, yet, so.
Yes.
Duncan gives us monthly or bi-monthly training about cybersecurity, so like phishing scams, MFA for, logging into accounts, all these various cybersecurity related topics. They're very useful. All the videos are very short, usually somewhere between like 4 to 12 minutes, something like that. So I think he had looked up and it looked like maybe one of you had logged in and,
I need the link and the reminder. I'll pass that.
Yeah.
okay,
Me too.
okay, I can resend that out. We can get you set up. What
Yeah, because it does not like VPNs.
was that?
It does not like VPNs.
And then, so Duncan will assign that to staff and we all get a notification. I think he was making whatever he's assigning us available to you, but y'all weren't getting notifications. Would you like to receive those notifications?
Yeah.
Just so you know that there's staff are getting a new one and maybe you'd like to check it out too. Okay,
Please.
great. Craft and training. Erica, there's a requirement by the state of Illinois that every year staff and trustees will complete anti-harassment training. So it's what we do by December 31st. So we will just wanted to make you all aware, remind you that that should be coming soon. So keep an eye out. So. Happy in my miscellaneous there, I wrote letters of support for Mary Kelly and Julie. I'm happy to announce that Mary Kelly got accepted into the Catalyst program, so. Mary Kelly. It's nice, the leadership of the program. Reminder about ILA in October. It is on that Thursday, the 16th, not Wednesday, the 15th. Like I erroneously wrote you all. So we have, I was asking for phone and email so that I can confirm with Sandy. But otherwise, we have Erica and Rick and Connie and Heather all going. So I'll let y'all figure out if you want a carpool or not,
And who's gonna watch the video?
right? And give us your license and insurance information. And then make sure you let me know so that we can also reimburse you for the mileage and the parking. I can't remember if the Stevens and Convention Center charges for parking or not, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, of course, it's Chicago.
They charge for air.
Your credit card and a baggage.
Unless you go to one of the restaurants.
Oh,
Go to like
love
Love
it.
City or one of those restaurants, they have, or you go to the movie theater or something, they have a validate. And the movie theater one, you can just walk into it, anything, and then walk back out. So,
So I can send you all a reminder. But just hopefully you have marked it on your calendars.
Yeah.
For October 16th. And then I will be on vacation all next week. So,
No, it didn't we tell you?
so,
Where are the vacations?
going back up to Eagle River,
Don't get sick this time.
hopefully not. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've gone up for a weekend to weekend, full entire week up there. So I am
Pretty time.
very much looking forward. So yeah, there is a lot else in the packet, so I didn't have necessarily a whole lot from my report.
Okay, so then, anything on the department heads, anybody think that some,
I just have to say this, Paul, thank you for, and I think it's you and Jason. And anyway, it was in your report. Connection with the military. And that means a lot to me, and I am so glad to see us moving in that direction to do something. So, thank you very much. I think Jason, you were involved in that.
Oh yeah, Diane and I went to the VFW.
That is an important entity solution. Thank you very much. Kathy, if your font gets any smaller because you have to put so much on this page, I'm gonna need a magnifying glass. I'm sorry, no, I'm teasing. But I went, that's not just smaller.
Can I ask about the training for Robert Schools of Order on September 27th?
Sure.
We're not required to do that, right?
No.
Okay.
It was just offered by Rails, and I just figured since it related to y'all, I had.
Do they
But you don't have
record
to.
those things? Like, could you watch it at another time or do you know?
I'm hoping that because I signed up for it, but I'm still gonna be in Wisconsin that day.
Yeah, I
so-
can't do it either.
So-
Like, do it.
It's online, right? Yeah.
much of the Rails things are, they'll send the registrants,
So the registry, if we can't go, we'll
Yeah.
be recording. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
if you don't, you may or may not be able to.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
But I think I'm registered until I ask.
So,
I can send you all the registration link and then you can do with it as you choose. Sounds good.
okay, so anything in the department head reports that anybody wants to comment on, or?
Waiting 2 hours. Come on, what you got?
Hey.
Okay, so then, the president's report, so the next meeting is Wednesday, October 15th. Wednesday, November 19th, we have the truth and taxation public hearing as well as the regular board meeting. Important one is Wednesday, December 10th, we're moving it to the second Wednesday instead of the usual third Wednesday because of the holiday.
Good job.
And then, of course, the last thing was the webinar, which was already brought up about Robert's Rules of Order training.
So I highlighted the December meeting because I think last year, despite we had already approved that schedule, I think a bunch of people forgot and were surprised, so I wanted to highlight that and point it out, unless you want to change that, but I think everybody liked it being earlier in December because then it doesn't avoid conflicting with any holidays and whatnot. So, but just wanted to point that out so that you remember this time, that everybody shows up.
I just changed it. I had to-
Okay.
Can I remind everybody that on November 19, I'm not coming?
Yeah, and I will need to be remote that day if I can.
Oh,
in
sure.
November. Not, if I physically can. Not so much, I know I can, but I don't know whether I will be able to.
Okay. Talk about that. Closer to
Yes.
November.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, just with the holidays coming up, be sure and let Jason know if for some reason we can't make it, so we make sure we get this one. Okay, so then, this finishes the treasure, president's report, so does somebody want to give the treasurer's report? Or,
It's great.
yeah.
No, we have Illinois funds in August. We made 7,000, hold on, I got my glasses on. $606.65 in interest. And earlier in the year, we received our per capita grant award letter, and in August, we finally received our check in the amount of $22,412.63.
Which is bigger than last year. I can't remember the exact number last year, but it was like 20,000 and change or 21,000 and change. So
The
because of
63 cents made a difference.
the special census, we got a little bit.
Every little bit.
It's not, wasn't a huge amount, but right, every little bit counts.
So then the secretary's report,
Everything is great.
and, we don't have any committee reports, so any other trustee comments?
So, I went to, the annual meeting at the Warrenville Historical Society, and they have a new display on the history of the library. In a cabinet. So they're open on Wednesdays and Saturdays or something, you know.
They're in their fall hours, they're just open on Sundays from 1 to 3.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, but it's just a cabinet and it has, some newspaper articles and pictures and stuff, but it is kind of nice that they featured it very nicely. History library.
But maybe you can do better than I did. Jason and I were at the Sarah Phelan, the 250, what was she calling it? For the 4th of July, or the 250 celebration. And I'm sure we'll somehow figure predominantly in.
It sounds like Paul and Sarah have already coordinated on several planned programs.
Oh,
next year.
very good. Very good.
So
I should have done that.
already in the works.
So
In
that-
progress.
So items for information and or discussion. Take it, there's nothing, so then,
Just
Erica, would you like to do the financial of the evening?
Sure, I'll put away there again.
adios.
Adios. Yeah, just kidding, just kidding.
Yeah, so then, motion was made by trustee Fisher, and I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, then, seconded by,
Trustee, what's your name?
and all those in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, so then we are adjourned at 9 o'clock PM.